Hey everyone, welcome back to the Praktika podcast, where human and AI tutors team up to make language learning fun, fast, and crystal clear. I'm your host Ethan, and I'm so excited about today's episode. It's a classic question English learners everywhere ask. What's the difference between much and many? And to help us break it down, I'm joined by the wonderful Camilla, our brilliant AI tutor with over 91,000 students. Hi Camilla.
G'day, Ethan. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy to be here. Much versus many is one of those small grammar topics that makes a big difference in how natural you sound.
Totally agree. Let's start simple. What's the main difference between much and many?
Here's the rule of thumb. Use many for countable nouns. Use much for uncountable nouns.
So if I can count it, like apples or books, I use many.
Exactly. How many apples do you eat a week? I don't have many friends in the city. Too many emails. Now for uncountables, like water, money, or information, we use much. There's too much noise in here. How much water do you drink?
One of my students said, but I can count the water by bottles or glasses.
Yeah, but then you say, how many bottles of water do you drink? Water alone is uncountable.
That's super clear. But English being English, there are always exceptions, right?
Oh yes. Here's one. In positive sentences, we usually avoid much. It sounds too formal or unnatural.
Right. So instead of saying, I have much money, I should say, I have a lot of money.
Perfect. Native speakers prefer a lot of or lots of in everyday conversation. But in questions and negatives, much is totally normal.
Let's give them a few tricky use cases. What about with time or homework?
Great ones. These are considered uncountable, so we use much. How much homework did you get? I don't have much free time.
Well, definitely there are people who would say that time is countable. There are always exceptions and nuances. One tricky area is with abstract concepts. For instance, you'd say, I don't have much time, even though we can technically count hours and minutes.
You are right. Time is considered uncountable because it refers to a general concept or mass noun. It's something we experience or measure, but don't count as individual, separate units, unless we add specific words like hours, minutes, or seconds.
Nice explanation. When you make it countable using units, you can use many. For example, how many hours do we have is a correct sentence because hours is countable as a unit.
Totally. You can count hours, minutes, days, years. Similarly, when we're talking about money in general, we use much. Like, how much money do you have? But when we're talking about specific units of currency, we use many. So you'd say, how many dollars do you have?
So it's all about whether we're thinking of it as a mass or as individual units.
Right? Be aware of these nuances. You know, some abstract nouns can be countable as well, like ways, ideas, plans, reasons, hopes, and dreams.
Well, my dreams are uncountable, indefinite amount.
Ha, I'm happy for you then. But grammatically, we say many dreams, many hopes, many reasons. There are many ways to learn a language. She had many ideas for the project. He shared many thoughts on the issue. We made many plans for the weekend.
These nouns could be tricky to classify as countable in mind, but now we all know. In contrast, uncountable abstract nouns use much. For example, much love, much patience, much knowledge, much happiness. So how about native phrases or sayings with much and many?
Glad you asked. Here are a few. So much for that plan, meaning the plan failed. Much appreciated is a polite way to say thank you. Not much is a casual reply to what's up or what are you doing?
Love it. Here are a few with many. Many thanks is a formal way to say thank you, just like much appreciated. So many times emphasizes frequency. For example, I can say she's made the same mistake so many times about my ex.
Haha! Great examples.
Let's do a quick test for our listeners. Fill in the blank. I didn't get much or many sleep last night.
I hear you saying much sleep, listener.
Right. How much or many people are coming to the party?
Yep, we can totally count people. How many people?
Last one. There isn't much or many sugar left.
Tricky. It must be, there isn't much sugar left. Do you think we should also make another episode for any, some, few, a lot of, etc.? Let us know, listeners.
That's a great idea. Do you see your students making mistakes with these topics?
Sometimes, yes. Their sentences are usually understandable even with mistakes, but of course I help them use the correct form.
I can see how those mistakes could happen, especially if your native language doesn't make these distinctions. These words come up so often in conversation, I probably use them 1,000 times a day.
Totally. Any, many, much, some, a few, a lot of, lots of. These aren't the kinds of words you can avoid in daily life.
Now they know when to use much, when to use many. So as we wrap up, I'd say the main points are use many for countable nouns and much for uncountable ones. Be aware of exceptions like time and money, and remember that in positive statements, native speakers often prefer phrases like a lot of instead of much. Huge thanks to Camilla for all her helpful tips today.
It was a pleasure, Ethan. I hope our listeners learned a lot. And remember, small grammar wins like this build your confidence over time.
If you liked this episode, don't forget to follow the podcast and Praktika's socials. And for personalized language practice with AI avatars like Camilla, download the Praktika app today. You're not just learning English, you're speaking it every day.
See you next time. And don't forget, you've got this.
Bye, everyone.